Hey everybody, we are making our Pampered Chef Tastebuds Stovetop Lasagna tonight. So, a few substitutions so far. I'm browning my meat. Instead of sausage, I opted to use ground beef because we have plenty of it in our freezer. So this is probably a little over a pound of ground beef, which is more than the recipe calls for. So I'm gonna alter that. We are probably going to have leftovers for at least tomorrow by the way I'm cooking this. So I think it called for 8 ounces of sausage, which is like one package. I am doing, like I said, probably a little over a pound of beef. So I'm in my 12-inch non-stick stainless steel skillet, browning that meat using my mix and chop to get it nice and ground up and cooked evenly. This is going to have mushrooms in it. I will say the mushrooms I am using are Baby Bella. I like them. They were available on my grocery order, so that's what I got. I believe the recipe actually calls for cremini mushrooms. But I've already sliced those up. I have my ricotta and egg ready. I have my vegetable broth ready. I have my salt ready. I've got my seasoning ready to go. Everything's out, prepped and ready. Once this browns, we'll get right on. We'll drain the fat off, which is a little bit. I'll have to do that. And then we will get right back to making our stovetop lasagna. Okay, I drained the fat off of that meat. I am now going to add my half a teaspoon of salt using my adjustable measuring spoon. I am going to add my mushrooms, which I am using a whole package, which is probably more than what it called for. Let's see, it called for 8 ounces. I did not want any going to waste. So my mushrooms are in with my meat now, and with half a teaspoon of salt. We're gonna let those cook up and soften a little bit for about 4 to 5 minutes. Do y'all set timers when you cook? Because that is important to me. I lose track of time. So we're going to set a timer for 5 minutes and let these cook down. And then we'll be adding our tomatoes and our seasoning. All right, so 5 minutes, our mushrooms have cooked down some. We're going to add tomatoes. It called for crushed tomatoes. I'm actually using diced tomatoes. Love these. You don't have to have this type. These are just really good. They're pricier. I'm going to add these as well because it called for 28 ounces, which is more than what that bottle was. The next thing that's happening is the seasoning. So if you're not familiar with the taste buds, you get a recipe and you get the seasonings that you need from Pampered Chef. This is the bell pepper herb seasoning. It calls for 2 tablespoons. So I'm using my adjustable measuring spoon again, and I'm adding that to it. You have extra left, so you will be able to make other things or make this again. I'm gonna mix that in. I'm gonna let this cook for 5 more minutes, and then the lasagna noodles will be added. That seasoning smells delicious. I will tell you in just a minute what is actually in it. Okay, so that's cooking for 4 to 5 minutes. We'll say 4. So the bell pepper herb rub has a blend of bell peppers, oregano, garlic, and herbs, and it makes everything taste better. So total ingredients: sea salt, dehydrated bell pepper, green bell pepper, dehydrated red bell peppers, brown mustard, dehydrated onion, dehydrated garlic, oregano, paprika, black pepper, fennel, thyme. They are gluten-free. There are no sugar or preservatives added. So the idea of this is that it will allow you to sample them and decide if you want to order an entire bottle or not. I have not used the bell pepper and herb seasoning before. So we'll see how it tastes. Everything else I've tried has been great. We love the seasonings. We basically only use that. Now I am going to say it calls for 2 cups of vegetable broth. These particular diced tomatoes, which is the brand of gluten-free pasta we have been enjoying, have a lot of liquid in them. I'm going to say we probably are not going to need the 2 cups of vegetable broth. So that's boiling nicely. We have about 2 minutes left of that cooking. And the next thing that's going to happen is the lasagna noodles and the broth are going to be added and cook for about 10 minutes to cook the noodles. And then we're going to add the ricotta and egg combination, uncover, add the dollops of ricotta, and then cook a little bit longer. So this is a new way to use my skillet that I've never done before. These are the noodles that we're using because we do gluten-free, the Jovial gluten-free lasagna noodles. Their pasta has been really good, and I'm glad that we can finally find the lasagna noodles, because that's something we haven't used in a long time because we've been gluten-free as far as noodles go. So this is gonna finish up. We're gonna add add the noodles. I've broken them up. The one thing about, I've actually never tried to break up regular lasagna noodles, but the gluten-free ones are incredibly hard to break. So there's a lot of different sizes. I think they should have about like this, but we've ended up with a lot of this. So we're just gonna put it all in there. Okay, so we're gonna add these. Add these in. We're going to add these on top here. It called for 10 noodles. These noodles are much wider than a regular noodle, so I had 6. That's what we're using. That was my simmer timer. So there's my noodles. I'm going to add in some vegetable broth. Don't want to overfill. So I'm going to say that's about it. That might be a cup and a half. So then it said to gently press my noodles down in. So that they're covered and cooking. And then we're going to cover it with the lid and let it cook for 10 minutes. And then we will add the ricotta and egg mixture. So one of the things about this pan that I absolutely love is that it's dishwasher safe. So both the lid and the pan can actually go in the dishwasher, and it comes out clean and sparkling new. That does not affect the non-stick property of it, and that's amazing. It's also oven safe to 500 degrees, both the lid and the pan. So if you ever need to stick something into the oven to cook that you're cooking in it, it's oven safe as well, and then straight in the dishwasher to clean it. You can't beat that. Okay, y'all, so this has boiled for 10 minutes, or simmered. I had already mixed up a cup of ricotta cheese with 1 egg, which was part of the recipe. And I'm gonna dollop that on here. The noodles are getting tender, and I can see that. Once I put this on, it's going to boil or simmer for another 10 minutes. So let's put some dollops of cheese on. This smells absolutely delicious. I'm certain it's the seasoning. So this is a unique dish. We have not done anything like this before. So we'll see how it ends up tasting. And if it's a winner in our recipe repertoire. Okay, that's done. We're gonna cover it again. It's really full. And set our timer for 10 minutes. And I'll be back to show you what it looks like when we're done. Okay, this is boiled or simmered for 10 minutes, and I'm going to follow the recipe and add some mozzarella to the top. Don't have an amount, it just said to add mozzarella, so we're just going to add some mozzarella. The noodles do look soft, and then the next thing will be, I'm going to cover it, and it's going to sit for 5 minutes, and that's going to melt that, okay? And in all honesty, look at my mess. It boiled over several times, so I had to stay right with it. And I just would move it off because it had to be covered, but you saw I added liquid, and it was tippy top full, so I stayed right with it. I moved it off. I would clean the spot where it spilled out, put it back on, and let it boil some more. So it got its full 10 minutes of cooking time in, but I did make a mess. So this will be fun to clean up once it cools off. I'm going to give you a little tip on this. Great thing to get your stuck on mess off of a glass top cooktop is lemon essential oil. I promise, a couple of drops, and use sort of a rough-sided sponge or kitchen cloth and just scrub it in, and it helps get those stuck on, burnt on things off of your glass cooktop. If you need extra elbow grease, add some baking soda to it. But the lemon oil usually gets it off. So that's just my little tip on how to get that off. So I'll be putting some lemon oil on this later to get it off. So our dinner is finished. The other thing that I did was take a bag, and this, once I tossed it, it was a little too done, but we'll still eat it. Tossed a bag of broccoli florets into my micro cooker. I cooked it, I put a tiny little bit of water in there, maybe 2 ounces, and cooked it in the microwave for 5 minutes. I added some olive oil and some Greek seasoning, and that's what we're going to have as our side with our stovetop lasagna. This thing is one of the cheapest things that we sell. It's in the under $25 section on the website, and we use it for pasta, we use it for rice, we use it for veggies. It can be used for chicken. You can cook, if you buy the set, you can cook your entire meal in this. This would be a great gift idea for a college student, for a single person that doesn't want a lot of fuss with cooking because they're only cooking for one, or maybe they're in a dorm room and only have a microwave to cook in. Great, great idea. So we're having broccoli and we're having stovetop lasagna. So I hope that was helpful and gave you a little idea of how the taste buds work. My kids have told me that we have to make the cheesy bread, which uses the bell pepper seasoning that we just used for this.
And then cheese, and then you just take a lump of bread and cut it in half.
So they give you options on what to do besides this recipe with it, and that's one of the things. So that's not happening tonight, but maybe in the future, so stay tuned. Thank y'all for watching. Bye.